shocking secret of Grandpa, the pastor. What he put in my mouth left me speechless. Emma stood at the threshold of her grandfather's dimly lit room, a labyrinth of dust motes swirling in the slant of light. Shadows loomed longer than life, barely revealing the old man's frail form reclining in a bed that sagged under the weight of memories. The air smelled of musty books, aged like secrets buried deep in her family's history. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribs, a drumbeat of apprehension mixed with a desperate resolve. She hadn't seen him in years, not since she'd chosen journalism over the family's old ways. Now, as his time slipped away, like sand through fingers, she returned, ready to confront the ghosts, and perhaps rekindle their bond. "Emma," he rasped, his voice a blend of warmth and fading strength. "It's good to see you." The church bells chimed from somewhere distant, a haunting melody wrapped in grief. But today wasn't just about reconciliation. It was about capturing his legacy, a story for the world to hear, or at least those who still listened, in a town that had begun to forget. She clenched her notebook tightly, the blank pages a canvas, waiting to be filled with the poignant truths of a lifetime devoted to faith and community. As she approached, she noticed a small, ancient vial resting on the bedside table, glinting ominously like a forgotten talisman. "What's that?" she blurted out, her curiosity piqued by its intricate design. Her grandfather's eyes sparkled with a knowing gleam, something almost sinister. "A parting gift," he whispered, "for you. You must take it, Emma. It holds the essence of truths untold." He handed it to her, his gnarled fingers trembling, as if passing on the weight of generations. Emma hesitated, her stomach churning with unease. "What is it?" she asked, her heart thudding heavily in her chest. "Swallow it," he insisted, urgency lacing his tone. "Only then will you understand." Fear clawed at her throat, yet a strange curiosity pushed her hand forward. Before she could overthink it, she tipped the vial and swallowed. The liquid burned like fire, and then, in an instant, she was engulfed in a whirlwind of visions, flashes of scenes and faces that felt both foreign and hauntingly familiar. A child's laughter echoed, sharp and eerie, mingling with shadows of fear. Memories cascaded over her, dark alleys, whispered secrets, and the shadow of a cross that loomed larger than life. Panic surged. These were not her memories. They were a web of someone else's past, of terror, heartbreak, and a deal forged in desperation. An unsettling feeling prickled at the nape of her neck, as if unseen eyes were watching, waiting. Sudden truths crashed over her like waves, each one more disturbing than the last. Her grandfather had buried something sinister beneath layers of faith. What pact had he made with the darkness that lay beneath the surface of their small town? Just as dread seeped through her veins, a sound echoed, a chilling knock that shook the stillness of the room. Emma's heart stopped. Who or what could it be? The door loomed like a barrier to another world, and her thoughts raced. Should she delve deeper into this unraveling mystery, or pull back from the brink? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, Smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact! The knock reverberated through the room like a thunderclap, echoing in Emma's bones. She froze, her heart racing. Who could it be? She glanced at her grandfather, his eyes wide with fear and something else. Regret? The air thickened, heavy with dread. "Emma, don't!" he whispered, his voice a fragile thread. But his warning came too late. A dark curiosity spun her around to face the door. The knock rang out again, louder this time. A demand for entry. "Just a minute," Emma called, her voice shaking. She stepped cautiously towards the door, each step feeling like it drew her deeper into a quicksand of uncertainty. With a trembling hand, she grasped the handle and turned it slowly. The door creaked open, revealing not the darkness she expected, but the bright, blinding light of the afternoon sun spilling into the room. There stood a woman, striking, with wild hair that framed her face like a halo. Her eyes blazed with a fierce energy that made Emma's stomach drop. "Emma, you have to listen to me." The woman's voice was sharp, urgent. "Your grandfather, he's not who you think he is." Confusion crashed over Emma like a tidal wave. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. The backed-up memories, the visions, the files burning essence swirled in her mind, and suddenly it felt like a shaky foundation beneath her feet. The woman stepped closer, casting a glance over her shoulder as if someone were coming. "He made a choice, a terrible deal decades ago, and it cost him. It cost all of us. His features. Your grandfather isn't just a pastor. He's been a guardian of a dark secret. In exchange for his power, he sold his soul." The woman's words hung thick in the air, a chilling truth that twisted in Emma's gut. "No, that can't be!" Emma stuttered, grasping for any shred of stability. She felt unmoored, the walls of her world shaking like a bad dream. "You don't know him. He's a liar!" The woman cut her off, her voice rising. "They manipulated him, turned him into a puppet, and now the strings are fraying. You're in danger, Emma." Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the old house, rattling the windows. The lights flickered, and the temperature dropped sharply. Emma shivered, her instincts screaming at her to run. "What's happening?" she breathed, fear crawling up her spine. Her grandfather's face, twisted with anguish and rage. "No, you brought her here. You shouldn't have come." He raised a trembling hand, a flicker of something dark pooling in his gaze. "Get away from him," the woman shouted, stepping protectively in front of Emma. "If he can control her now, it's too late." With every pulse of her heart, the air thickened with palpable menace. "What do you mean? What's too late?" Emma demanded, her voice rising in a mixture of confusion and dread. Then the ground beneath them split open, a crack slicing through the floor like a jagged wound. The room began to tremble, books and dust flying off the shelves. Emma screamed, caught in a whirlwind of chaos, trying to piece together the unraveling puzzle of her grandfather's true identity. The love she once felt hardened, replaced by a cold realization. As she struggled to comprehend the seismic turmoil around her, a single question echoed through her mind. What had her grandfather really sacrificed to maintain the facade of faith? That one chilling thought hung heavily in the air, a harbinger of the dark truth yet to come. The ground split beneath them, the jagged crack widening like an angry mouth. Emma felt the tremor snake up her legs, sending shockwaves of panic through her. The chaos around her blurred, books crashing to the floor, dust swirling like the spirits of the past, and shadows darting in her vision. But it was the woman's piercing eyes that held her in place, demanding her attention. "Get out of here! Now!" the woman shouted, urgency crackling in her voice. But before Emma could move, the walls pulsed as if alive, closing in around her. Her grandfather, his face a mask of terror, lurched forward. "You should have never come back, Emma! You don't understand!" His voice cracked, breaking the facade he'd worn for so long. Why was he acting like this? Slowly, comprehension crashed into her. His fear wasn't just about secrets. It was about her. The woman took a step toward him, her every movement charged with intensity. "You think your secrets protect her? They'll consume her!" With those words, everything shifted again. A sharp, cold wind blasted through the room, extinguishing the light and leaving them in an unnatural darkness. Emma's heart raced. She could almost hear it pounding against the walls. "What do you mean, consume me?" The air twisted, and suddenly a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette. Cloaked in darkness, Emma gasped, stumbling back as the figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face. Dad? Time stopped. Blake, her father, who had vanished years ago, stood in the room, eyes shimmering with something that felt both tender and terrible. "Emma, I've been waiting for you," he said, his voice a twisted echo of love and despair. The very man she'd mourned, long believed lost, now stood entwined in this chaos. "Why are you here? What's happening?" Emma's voice trembled, her world spiraling into confusion. Everything she thought she knew flipped upside down. But her father didn't speak. Instead, he reached for her, as if trying to bridge the chasm between them. The woman shot a glance between them, a mixture of shock and determination. "You don't understand, Emma. Your father is tied to this darkness. To the deal? It's part of their legacy." "No!" Emma shouted, squaring her shoulders. "You can't be part of this!" But the shadows behind her father twisted, wrapping around him like vipers, pulling him back into the darkness. "Emma, listen," he cried, his face turning desperate. "You need to know the truth." Suddenly, a blinding light flared, ripping through the shadows. A wall of heat washed over them, illuminating the chaos of the room. The force knocked Emma to the ground. She scrambled to her feet, half dazed, heart racing as she fought to stay grounded in the chaos. "Your grandfather made a pact, yes," Blake's voice cut through the noise, filled with sorrow. "But it wasn't just him. It was all of us." Silence settled in the room, thick like fog, hanging heavy and suffocating. Emma's mind spun. How could this be? Her whole life had been built on the memory of a father who had abandoned her. Now he was a piece of this dark puzzle, woven in with her grandfather's secrets like thread in a tapestry. "No!" she screamed, the walls trembling in response to her anguish. "You can't!" A blaring siren pierced the air as the room vibrated again, sharper, more violent. "You have to choose, Emma," the woman shouted, urgency spilling from her. They want you to take on what they've hidden. If you stay, you'll be bound to that darkness forever. Everything raced through her mind, memories flaring up like wildfires. The church, the whispers, the secrets buried deep. Emma turned back to her grandfather, rage and disbelief mingling in her chest. "You let this happen?" He recoiled, as if struck, the shadows flickering around him like a snake ready to strike. "I never wanted this for you." The siren shrieked again, louder, and the darkness shifted, threatening to take over. Emma faced her father, desperation tight in her throat. She felt caught between two worlds, two legacies, each pulling her in opposing directions. The very fabric of her family unraveled before her eyes, and one burning question blazed through the chaos. Will she step into the darkness or fight to break free? The answer would change everything forever. The ground shook beneath them, a volatile reminder that their time was slipping away. Emma blinked, trying to focus on her father's face, but the shadows twisted around him, pulling him further into the darkness. "No, you can't leave me again," she cried, desperation clawing at her throat. "Emma, please," Blake's voice wavered, straining against the shadows like they were razor wire. "You don't understand the power they hold. It's not just a deal, it's a prison." The woman beside Emma stepped forward, her voice urgent. "This darkness can take form. It feeds on fear, on doubt. It'll take your father completely if you don't act fast." "Act fast?" Emma spat, feeling the weight of betrayal pound in her chest. "How am I supposed to do that? None of this makes sense." As if in response, the air shifted violently, vibrating with a low hum, before exploding into a blinding light. Emma shielded her eyes, the brilliance washing over them. Then, without warning, a deafening crack filled the room, slicing through the chaos in a wave of sound that felt like glass shattering. And just like that, everything changed. The light snapped back to darkness, but not the same darkness. Before Emma could even process what was happening, a figure appeared from the void. A young girl, no older than 10, with wide, innocent eyes and long, dark hair that swayed as if moved by a ghostly breeze. She stood there, untouched by the chaos around her, looking straight at Emma. "Emma?" Her voice was soft, a whisper that seemed to echo in the madness. Emma's heart went cold. How did this girl know her name? "Who are you?" Emma demanded, confusion and fear curling tightly in her stomach. I'm you." The girl's words hit like a punch in the gut. Or at least I was, before everything changed. Crap. Emma's mind reeled. The girl looked like a fragment of her past. A version of herself she couldn't quite grasp. "What do you mean, before everything changed?" "It's all connected," the girl said, stepping closer, fear dissolving into something hopeful. "Your grandfather, your father's choice, it created a rip in time. The darkness is not just in this moment. It echoes through every second of your family's history. You're the key, Emma. You always have been." "No!" her grandfather shouted, his face a mix of rage and horror. "Don't listen to her. She's a trick." But something inside Emma stirred. The girl's presence felt comforting, almost grounding. "What do I have to do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "You have to face the truth," the girl said urgently, her eyes pleading. "You have the power to change it, but you need to choose, now, before Emma could respond. The room began to warp around her. The walls twisted, and from the depths of the shadows, another figure emerged. A man, older than Blake, with a familiar face and a sinister smile that sent chills spiraling down Emma's spine. "Did you really think you could escape, my dear?" he taunted, his voice smooth like silk, yet thick with malice. Emma gasped, recognition dawning. This man wasn't just in shadow. He was the embodiment of the darkness that her family had battled for so long. "Dad?" she breathed, still processing the impossibility, her heart thundering in her chest. "But you? I'm not just your father now. I'm what your grandfather sought to contain. And now I have a new host. Welcome back to your legacy, Emma." Emma recoiled, the blood draining from her face. The girl. Beside her flashed a warning glance. "You have to decide, and you have to trust me." The tremors grew stronger, the very foundations of the room quaking under the weight of their history. Emma felt weightless, caught between the girl's pleading eyes and the darkness that threatened to consume her. With everything spiraling into chaos, Emma took a deep breath. In that split second, as eyes locked and hearts raced, she realized the true weight of her choice. Would she break the chains binding her family to darkness, or plunge herself into the abyss? The shadows surged, the air charged with desperation, and all Emma could do was scream, catching the flicker of fate hanging in the balance. Would she fight back or surrender? Emma felt her world fracture. The shadows twisted as her father, once a vestige of her innocence, pulled her into the dark. The little girl beside her, this glimpse of her past, shimmered with urgency. "Emma, you need to choose now! Break the cycle!" The figure of her father loomed closer, his smile deepening, a smug victory radiating from him. "You think you can undo what has been done? They'll feed on your fear, your doubt." The chaos and shadows churned around them, suffocating. Emma's heart raced, but she grasped the tiny hand of the girl, still so innocent. "You can't be connected to this. You're just a child." "Not just a child," the girl insisted, her grip tightening. "I'm the part of you that sees the truth. You have to remember, you were never alone." Before Emma could respond, the air shifted again. The oppressive dark began to fray, ripping open like a curtain unveiling the hidden. In that moment, true understanding washed over her. She wasn't just a lineage of secrets. She was the embodiment of them, a living bridge connecting the past and present. "Come back to me, Emma," her father coaxed, extending a hand that flickered between familiarity and menace. The shadows trembled as if they had their own heartbeat, pulsing against the walls of the room. "Choose," shouted the woman, her urgency slicing through the haze. "But you must break free, or fall deeper." Emma faltered, every muscle in her body tensed. She closed her eyes, grounding herself. No more fear, no more lies. When she opened them again, she saw not just her father, but the man before her, a cautionary tale of what unchecked ambition could create. Suddenly, the shadows coiled tighter, choking the light. The walls screamed, and for an instant, Emma caught a glimpse of the darkness that consumed her grandfather's heart. It pulsed, angry and hungry. It wasn't just her father. It was the sum of every choice, every secret kept shackled beneath the guise of faith. Then a bone-deep chill swept through the room, the air crackling in complaint, piercing against her skin. Emma glanced at the girl beside her, who began to shimmer, her form flickering like a dying flame. Trust what you see. And then it happened, a seismic jolt reverberating through the floor. A blinding flash erupted from the crack in the ground. Emma stumbled as reality twisted, illumination spilling like water around her. What she saw next made her heart stop. The old pastor, her grandfather, had begun to melt into shadows, his physical form collapsing. In on itself. "No, you can't!" Emma screamed. The face twisted, revealing years of brittle regret etched into his features, darkness clawing at what remained of his humanity. "Emma, I didn't want this for you." But it was too late. As the shadows tore him apart, an explosion of power erupted. The room pulsated, and suddenly it was no longer just the grandfather who was unraveling. Emma gasped, realizing in horror what she had missed. The little girl was beginning to dissolve too. "Stay strong," the girl urged, voice fading as the shadows erupted in a cacophony of screams. "Fight for us!" The ground shook violently. Emma, at the center of this storm, realized then her family didn't just carry a legacy of darkness. It was the very essence of her being. With each heartbeat, her grasp on reality slid further. "Emma, you have to embrace your power," the woman shouted, desperation lacing her words. "Only you can rewrite this story." The weight of the darkness pressed in on her, and she felt it in every fiber of her being. A terrible truth weaving itself around her like a shroud. Suddenly, a chilling revelation hit her. This darkness wasn't a separate entity. It was part of who she was. "Everything I've ever known, it was a lie," she gasped, edging into clarity. "I'm not just fighting for my grandfather, or even my father. I'm fighting for myself." The little girl looked up at her, eyes sparkling. "Then you know what to do." With a surge of will, Emma stepped forward, embracing the light that flickered inside her, battling the shadows that wrapped ever tighter. A reckoning born not just out of fear, but out of an awakening. But just as she summoned her strength, a deafening roar erupted from the depths of darkness, bellowing in fury as if it had been awakened from a slumber. Emma's heart raced, caught between realization and terror. What price was she willing to pay to get control? And what would it cost to intimately lead the dance with this darkness? As the chaos surged, the shadows encroaching, one thought echoed through her mind. She was not just a player in this game. She was the very heart of it. What would happen if she truly embraced it? Emma felt her world fracture. The shadows twisted as her father, once a vestige of her innocence, pulled her into the dark. The little girl beside her, this glimpse of her past, shimmered with urgency. "Emma! You need to choose now! Break the cycle!" The figure of her father loomed closer, his smile deepening, a smug victory radiating from him. "You think you can undo what has been done? They'll feed on your fear, your doubt." The chaos and shadows churned around them, suffocating. Emma's heart raced, but she grasped the tiny hand of the girl, still so innocent. "You can't be connected to this. You're just a child." "Not just a child," the girl insisted, her grip tightening. "I'm the part of you that sees the truth. You have to remember, you were never alone." Before Emma could respond, the air shifted again. The oppressive dark began to fray, ripping open like a curtain unveiling the hidden. In that moment, True understanding washed over her. She wasn't just a lineage of secrets. She was the embodiment of them, a living bridge connecting the past and present. "Come back to me, Emma," her father coaxed, extending a hand that flickered between familiarity and menace. The shadows trembled as if they had their own heartbeat, pulsing against the walls of the room. "Choose!" shouted the woman, her urgency slicing through the haze. "But you must break free or fall deeper." Emma faltered, every muscle in her body tensed. She closed her eyes, grounding herself. No more fear, no more lies. When she opened them again, she saw not just her father, but the man before her, a cautionary tale of what unchecked ambition could create. Suddenly, the shadows coiled tighter, choking the light. The walls screamed, and for an instant, Emma caught a glimpse of the darkness that consumed her grandfather's heart. It pulsed, angry and hungry. It wasn't just her father. It was the sum of every choice, every secret kept shackled beneath the guise of faith. Then a bone-deep chill swept through the room, the air crackling in complaint, piercing against her skin. Emma glanced at the girl beside her, who began to shimmer, her form flickering like a dying flame. "Trust what you see." And then it happened. A seismic jolt, reverberating through the floor. A blinding flash erupted from the crack in the ground. Emma stumbled as reality twisted, illumination spilling like water around her. What she saw next made her heart stop. The old pastor, her grandfather, had begun to melt into shadows, his physical form collapsing in on itself. "No, you can't!" Emma screamed. The face twisted, revealing years of brittle regret etched into his features, darkness clawing at what remained of his humanity. "Emma, I didn't want this for you." But it was too late. As the shadows tore him apart, an explosion of power erupted. The room pulsated, and suddenly it was no longer just the grandfather who was unraveling. Emma gasped, realizing in horror what she had missed. The little girl was beginning to dissolve too. "Stay strong," the girl urged, voice fading as the shadows erupted in a cacophony of screams. "Fight for us." The ground shook violently. Emma, at the center of this storm, realized then her family didn't just carry a legacy of darkness. It was the very essence of her being. With each heartbeat, her grasp on reality slipped further. "Emma, you have to embrace your power," the woman shouted, desperation lacing her words. "Only you can. Rewrite this story." The weight of the darkness pressed in on her, and she felt it in every fiber of her being, a terrible truth weaving itself around her like a shroud. Suddenly, a chilling revelation hit her. This darkness wasn't a separate entity. It was part of who she was. "Everything I've ever known, it was a lie," she gasped, edging into clarity. "I'm not just fighting for my grandfather or even my father. I'm fighting for myself." Just as the shadows surged closer, something snapped. A crack sounded, like thunder splitting the sky. The shadows recoiled, and from the depths a figure emerged, a woman cloaked in luminescent light, eyes blazing with power, unlike anything Emma had ever seen. "Mother?" Emma gasped, disbelief washing over her. The woman stepped forward, a spectral guardian radiating warmth. "I've been watching, waiting to help you, but you must do this alone." "Mom?" Emma's heart pounded, confusion tangled with hope. "But you're supposed to be dead?" The woman smiled softly, the shadows reluctant to approach her light. Yes, but not gone. I held the pieces of this darkness at bay, but now you must finish the fight. It's bigger than you know. Bigger? Emma echoed, her mind spinning. What do you mean? My legacy is intertwined with all of this, Emma, her mother replied. Intensity marking her words. And what you thought you knew about your family is only half of the truth. A ripple of shock raced through Emma. What truth? What did you do? Your father. He's not just your father. He's part of a prophecy. A dark prophecy. Emma's stomach dropped. No, that can't be. He was just... In their eyes, he was the chosen one, her mother continued, urgency strong in every syllable. He went to this darkness willingly. But now? Now what? Emma demanded, desperation rising. Now you have to choose the fate of two worlds. The walls began to tremble again, and with a clarity that shattered her heart, Emma realized her path had moved beyond her initial struggle. She wasn't just fighting for herself, her father, or even her grandfather. She was the key to something far greater, tangled in a legacy she never wanted. Before she could look deeper into her mother's eyes, the shadows lunged, screaming in torment as they folded in on themselves. Emma felt their fury rise, electrifying the air around her. The ground beneath her cracked open wider, and a darkness screamed for release, daring her to claim her inheritance. Emma, make your choice! The girl's voice rang out above the chaos, faint and fragile. And in that moment, everything began to blur. Would she align with this startling truth or succumb to despair? As the darkness loomed closer and enveloped her in chaos, Emma reached deep inside her, fighting for clarity. But then, another shock fell. An explosive force erupted from the shadows, ripping apart the very fabric of their existence and leaving Emma gasping in the tempest. In that instant, as she flared into the unknown amidst a blaze of light, a piece of her father's darkness imbued her spirit, and she felt it shift within her. Emma! Her mother called, the urgency shattering through the storm. But as the world fell away, and every scream faded into oblivion, one strangling question remained. Which side of the darkness would she choose? The moment hung heavy, charged with everything Emma couldn't grasp. Her mother's figure shimmered. The shadows around her warped and writhed. Fear prickled down Emma's spine as she fought to trust what she saw. Mom, why are you here now? What does this all mean? For a heartbeat, it felt like time paused. Chaos swirled around her, thickening. The darkness breathed, waiting, and the girl beside her tugged at her hand. You have to focus. The connection is weak. Then, with a deafening roar, an oppressive force slammed against her, and the room twisted. The shadows surged, almost alive, rushing at her like an angry tide. They clawed at her, whispering fears that filled her ears like ice. Don't listen, her mother shouted, solidifying her stance. Against the encroaching dark. You are stronger than this. But in that moment, a violent flash pulled Emma's gaze away. She turned, eyes widening as the shadows coalesced into something much darker. A massive shape rising from the ground, a figure emerging from the chaos, radiating pure malevolence. It was him, the reflection of her father, but twisted, a dark echo of the man she once adored. No! This isn't real! Emma screamed, fists clenched, desperation rising to a peak. Emma, embrace it. her mother urged. Her voice shadow flared brightly, blinding her. And when the light dimmed, she felt the world shift, spinning violently, like gravity had forgotten her. Suddenly, a deafening crack split the air, like thunder striking close by. Emma gasped, the ground beneath her feet trembling. The shadows parted like curtains, revealing a hidden truth. A sprawling library, impossibly vast and filled with darkness. Books flapped their pages as if alive, whispering secrets long buried. Emma, the girl, pulled her hand, urgency electrifying her words. "You need to see!" They stumbled and everyone froze. The woman, the one who had been her ally, stood there, her figure silhouetted against the blinding light, face twisted in rage. "This has gone too far. You can't let her find it." The figure, her father's shadow, snarled. "She has to!" "You thought you could hide the truth, didn't you?" In the heart of that chaos, Emma felt the weight of realization crash over her. This wasn't just about her family. It was about an ancient pact that seemed destined to unravel. "What do you mean? What truth?" Exhausted, the woman faltered, eyes wide. "It means your mother was never really gone. She was tied to this darkness all along. This battle is hers as much as yours." Emma's mind reeled. "What? She was—" But before she could fully process it, the library began to tremble. Books flew off the shelves, swirling in a gale around them. The walls blurred, and the air thickened with shadows, tangible and alive. In a moment of clarity, the monster lunged forward, and Emma felt something, an opening, a vulnerability. She took a step forward, but the woman's voice shot through. "Don't do it! Embrace what you've been told!" "What are you not telling me?" Emma shouted, fear frame shifting into fury. "You're all playing games!" And then the shadows exploded. A cacophony of darkness swirling faster, louder. Emma's heart pounded as she glimpsed her grandmother, standing at the edge of the doorway. A figure she had never met, her ghost-like form draped in shadows. "Emma," her grandmother's voice echoed, so familiar yet haunting. "It's time to claim what's yours." Shock washed over Emma like ice water, freezing time. Every secret they had safeguarded, every lie tucked away in dusty books, was about to break free. What had been hidden for generations was now out in the open, demanding to be confronted. As she looked into her grandmother's eyes, understanding flooded through her. A chilling realization that would change everything. What do I have to do? But just as she reached for her grandmother, the world collapsed in a blinding flash. Light enveloped her completely, a fiery storm ripping across the shadows. And in that same moment, she felt chains tighten around her heart, pulling her down into the depths of her history. "Emma, choose, and fast!" the girl screamed, desperation ringing in her words as the vibrant light dimmed, revealing the shattering truth. In that instant, everything shifted. Emma realized it was she who had the true power to rewrite it all, and her own past was the greatest secret of all. In that flicker between light and dark, the answer lurked, and the question throbbed like fire. What had her family truly sacrificed to keep her from the truth? Emma felt her world fracture. The shadows twisted as her father, once a vestige of her innocence, pulled her into the dark. The little girl beside her, this glimpse of her past, shimmered with urgency. "Emma, you need to choose now. Break the cycle." The figure of her father loomed closer, his smile deepening, a smug victory radiating from him. You think you can undo what has been done? They'll feed on your fear, your doubt. The chaos and shadows churned around them, suffocating. Emma's heart raced, but she grasped the tiny hand of the girl, still so innocent. You can't be connected to this. You're just a child. Not just a child, the girl insisted, her grip tightening. I'm the part of you that sees the truth. You have to remember, you were never alone. Before Emma could respond, the air shifted again. The oppressive dark began to fray, ripping open like a curtain unveiling the hidden. In that moment, true understanding washed over her. She wasn't just a lineage of secrets. She was the embodiment of them, a living bridge connecting the past and present. Come back to me, Emma, her father coaxed, extending a hand that flickered between familiarity and menace. The shadows trembled as if they had their own heartbeat, pulsing against the walls of the room. Choose, shouted the woman, her urgency slicing through the haze. But you must break free or fall. Or bear it. Emma faltered, every muscle in her body tensed. She closed her eyes, grounding herself. No more fear, no more lies. When she opened them again, she saw not just her father, but the man before her, a cautionary tale of what unchecked ambition could create. Suddenly the shadows coiled tighter, choking the light. The walls screamed, and for an instant, Emma caught a glimpse of the darkness that consumed her grandfather's heart. It pulsed, angry and hungry. It wasn't just her father. It was the sum of every choice, every secret kept shackled beneath the guise of faith. Then, a bone-deep chill swept through the room, the air crackling in complaint, piercing against her skin. Emma glanced at the girl beside her, who began to shimmer, her form flickering like a dying flame. Trust what you see. And then it happened, a seismic jolt reverberating through the floor. A blinding flash erupted from the crack in the ground. Emma stumbled as reality twisted, illumination spilling like water around her. What she saw next made her heart stop. Her grandfather's essence shattered apart like glass, dispersing into the void. No, you can't! Emma screamed. The darkness howled back at her, swallowing the last remnants of his being. Her heart raced as her world spun, her vision blurring. Emma, her mother's voice, half a memory, echoed in the distance. This is your moment. But as the shadows pooled around her, a familiar face emerged from the depths of darkness. Her mother. I never left you, she whispered, the warmth palpable, but a sinister glint danced in her eyes. Emma's heart stopped cold. What? You're alive? You were here all along, her mother interrupted, stepping closer. The shadows coiled around her like loyal pets. I never let them take me completely. I had to stay hidden for you. Disbelief wrapped around Emma like chains. For me? Is this all you're doing? Partially, but you must understand, her mother said, her voice turning sharp. This darkness, it's our power. We belong to it. And now, with what you've discovered, you can be alive with it, or remain a puppet on strings. Emma recoiled, feeling tremors surge beneath her feet. You're saying I should join you? Join the darkness? The girl beside her trembled, fear igniting in her eyes. Emma, no, don't listen to her. But her mother smiled, a chilling grin that twisted the truth. Do you think the light they offer is real? They've kept us shackled for generations. You have to claim what belongs to you. A tumult of emotions crashed over Emma. Confusion and rage tangled. You sacrificed all of us for this? Sacrificed? No, my dear. I've learned to wield it. Her mother extended her hands, shadows swirling. Together we can become unbreakable. Do you not want that? Unbreakable? Emma echoed, disbelief caught in her throat, nausea rising. What am I, a monster? Embrace your legacy, the woman urged, urgency ringing in her voice. Your future, my future, it's tied to this. The room erupted in an explosion of light and dark, shimmering and curling, as if reality itself were being rewritten. The figures swirled around, their shapes morphing, the memory of despair washing over them. Emma felt the ground vibrate as ancestral shadows whispered secrets of pacts and promises that danced just out of reach. With every heartbeat, the chaos unfolded her mother's true nature, a predator cloaked in the guise of love, yearning to pull her down into the abyss. The girl's terrified gaze pierced her heart, a plea to fight. But the darkness called to her, tugging at her very soul. Emma had a choice, a decision that would bind or free her. As the room quaked, she felt the walls echo with her ancestors' whispers. But now, her mother's face flickered like a broken film reel. It felt real, but it also felt like a trap. No more games. Find the truth. The girl's voice resonated, pulling Emma back from the brink. The choice loomed above her like a thundercloud, ready to burst. She needed to step into that clarity. Should she embrace the darkness, as her mother had urged, or break its chains, revealing the hidden truth? In that moment, Emma's heart raced as the air around her crackled with possibilities. Risk everything to claim a legacy of power, or turn her back on it all? She hesitated. Could she bear to shatter the only family she thought she had left? As whispers roared, the shadows charged around her, tines splintering under the weight of her indecision. One truth pulsed in her veins. The choice hadn't just changed her. It would change everything. And whatever path she took, the darkness was poised to unravel it all. Emma stood at the edge of the chaos, heart racing, fear bubbling just below the surface. Her mother's eerie confidence spun a web of confusion around her. Embrace your legacy, the woman had said, but every word felt like a trap. She couldn't trust anything, not her mother, not the shadows, not even the frail little girl holding her hand. Choose, the girl pleaded, eyes wide with desperation. Please! But then the shadows thrashed, roaring like a beast awakened. The room twisted, reality blurring. Emma felt it deep down, a sickening churn, like something vital was ripping apart. Then, without warning, the light flickered and the shadows surged forward, crashing together like a crashing wave. Emma braced herself, feeling the heat of it wrap around her, suffocating. Stay back! She shouted, thrusting her hands out. You're wrong! I don't want any part of this! The roar subsided into a ever-chilling whisper. That's when she heard it. A name echoed, haunting and familiar, perfectly clear in the darkness. Blake. Wait! Blake! Emma gasped, her breath catching. The shadows recoiled, like wounded animals. Why are you calling his name? Then the space trembled, vibrating like it was alive, and the air grew thick with tension. From the swirling blackness stepped a figure, a man. Tall, strong, with familiar brown hair and a piercing gaze. Dad? Emma whispered, disbelief crashing through her like a wave. Her heart soared and sank simultaneously. But you were gone. The figure nodded. I didn't leave you, Emma. I was taken. His voice was steady. but the weight of pain clung to every word. Shadows swirled around him, bending toward his commanding presence. They needed me for the darkness. What? Emma's mind reeled. You belong to this? You're part of the pact? She could hardly breathe, the truth seeping into every crack of her only hope. No, you don't understand, her mother cried, desperation coding her words. He was forced. I had to protect you both. But now he's here, the little girl screamed, turning pale as the shadows closed in. We can't let the darkness take him. In that moment, something shifted. Emma's father reached toward her with a fierce determination etched into his face. Emma, this is your choice. You can break it. You can save us. But before she could react, the walls shook violently, and a deafening crack reverberated through the room. She felt cold panic clawing at her throat. Emma, you have to decide, her mother yelled, teetering on the verge of losing control. The ground quaked more violently, and from the depths of darkness, a flash exploded. Then came the shock. The shadows convulsed, and an image formed. The same dark figure that had tormented them, solidifying into something grotesque. An amalgamation of all their fears, greed shining in its eyes. Your family always thought they could control me. It snarled, its voice like 1,000 cinders scraping against metal. Control? Blake echoed, anger boiling beneath his calm exterior. You can't control what you can't contain. The shadows responded with fury, a wave of darkness crashing against them, and Emma felt herself being pushed back, fear clawing at her insides. What the hell is happening? She screamed. But the words turned to silence as everything began to unravel. In that chaotic swirl, she caught a glimpse. A glimmering necklace hanging from the figure's neck. Something familiar. It sunk into her gut like a stone. The pendant, she stuttered, memories flashing of a time when she'd seen that very pendant in her mother's hand. Mom? Emma's heart raced, her mind speeding through everything she thought she knew. You have that pendant! You were the one who... But before she could finish, the reality shattered. The air crackled, and the darkness sighed, folding inward. Surprise twisted through every face present as their family tree unraveled, secrets spilling into the open. Emma staggered back, breath hitching as the weight of betrayal crashed against her. All this time, you were the one who... I had to, her mother whispered, anguish flooding her voice. To protect you, my child. You don't understand how much you matter in this fight. The words broke something loose inside Emma. No, you're the one who... Air thickened with uncertainty and fear. The ground vibrated beneath her feet, and shadows writhed like snakes, threatening to engulf them all. As they all stood there, caught in this chaos, Emma made a choice. But as she stepped forward, the shadowy figure let out an ear-piercing scream. You've unleashed a part of what you don't understand, it bellowed, as the swirling darkness exploded outward. In one final clash of light and dark, everything she held dear began to split open. Everything flipped upside down. The fabric of her reality shook, while Emma's heart pounded with clarity. And there it was, the cost of the truth laid bare. The reality she was too late to understand. With that, Emma's questions echoed, drowning in the impending storm, leaving her gasping for the answer. What price would she pay to save her family? And was the truth truly worth it? The darkness roared, every shadow howling, seeking to engulf her in its torment. Emma felt the pull of her parents' tumultuous history reverberate through her veins. The walls shook as if the very foundation of her life was crashing down. The past clawing its way to the present with unstoppable force. "Emma!" her father shouted, desperation radiating from his eyes, turning fierce against the shadows, threatening to consume them. "You can end this!" "End what?" she screamed, heart in her throat, feeling the weight of betrayal. "You've kept me in the dark my entire life!" Her mother's voice cut through the storm, cool and commanding. "No, Emma. I've done everything to protect you. You wouldn't understand the depth of the darkness." "But I need to understand," Emma's voice broke into raw emotion. "What if everything I've ever known is a lie? What if I've been fighting for the wrong side?" Everything trembled, a cacophony of cries, and shadows twisted around them, whispering sinister secrets. The little girl beside her, an echo of innocence, gripped her hand tightly. "You have to trust yourself. Remember what's real." As the darkness writhed, she summoned clarity, pulling fragments of truth from her tangled thoughts. "You want to control me. You think I'll follow you into this abyss? No." Her voice surged, fierce and unyielding. "I was never meant to be a puppet of darkness." With that, a fierce light sparked from within her, igniting the air. The shadows recoiled, screaming as though burned. Emma felt power ripple through her. She stepped forward, heart racing, eyes blazing. "I choose to break the cycle!" her mother shrieked, the shadows swirling in defiance, but Emma stood firm. "Stop lying to me!" she shouted, summoning courage from deep inside. "You can't chain me with your legacy anymore." The shadows raged, a storm crashing around her, but Emma felt it all shifting. The library's books flared with light, illuminating long-forgotten truths. Her mother's pendant, her father's pain, the price of silence, all inside her. A rift opened in the darkness, a crack of light larger than she had ever seen. With every ounce of will, Emma pushed forward. The echoing screams filled the room, dimming, fading into the distance, as she reached for that brilliance. "I won't let fear define me," she bellowed. The moment the darkness waned, a wave of luminous energy surged toward her, embracing her like a shield. Suddenly, the oppressive waves lifted, crumbling under the force of her determination. The swirling shadows dissipated like smoke before a storm. Breathless, Emma glanced around, her heart pounding in rhythm with newfound clarity. The chaos faded. The shadows retreated, leaving only the three of them, exhausted but alive. She looked at her parents. Their expressions shifted from fear to awe. Her mother, vulnerable and stripped of pretense, met her gaze. I'm sorry," her mother whispered, vulnerability threading through the pain. "I was so blinded by fear." Blake stepped closer, heart visible in his eyes. "Emma, I never wanted to lose you. I was trying to protect you." A flicker of understanding passed between them. "I see now," Emma said softly. "We're all connected in this, but it's time for the truth." With shaking hands, she retrieved the pendant hanging around her mother's neck. As Emma grasped it, memories surged, a tapestry woven through darkness, illuminated by strength and honesty. "This is our legacy now," Emma declared. "Together, we can rewrite the family we lost." In that poignant moment, shadows melted away. Emma felt warmth spread through her veins, the bond between them stronger, more resilient. They had faced the darkness together, and with it came a new dawn. The air lightened, a sense of peace enveloping them. Emma looked at the little girl who had guided her through this labyrinth of shadows. "Thank you," she said softly. With a gentle smile, the girl faded, her essence twinkling like stars in the night sky. a reminder of hope and connection. "Let's start anew," Emma said, taking her parents' hands, energy sparking between them. The past had shaped them, but the future need not carry its burdens. As the light continued to fill the space, Emma walked forward, determined to reclaim their narrative and build a legacy of their choosing, a world spiraling out of darkness and into hope. The moment hung in the air, fragile yet powerful, and for the first time, Emma felt free. But now, friends, this is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe right now to our channel so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about how our story ended. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support means everything.